I would like to introduce my friend Brice Balmer. Brice is from the Mennonite tradition, and he is one of the founders of Interfaith Grand River and a past president. So I'm going to read this bio of you first of all, just before. So you're just going to have to stand there uncomfortably.
I just always hope it isn't an obituary.
Before retiring in 2019 from full-time faculty position at Martin Luther University College within Wilfrid Laurier University, Brice Balmer taught in the Master of Arts in Theology program in the field of spiritual care and psychotherapy. He taught courses in multi-faith, addictions, practicum for students in counseling, theodicy, group work, and community development. I must ask you to remind me what theodicy means, but after. As an ordained Mennonite minister, the values and principles of peace and pacifism are paramount in his life. He was a co-pastor of the First Mennonite Church in Kitchener for 17 years. He is a founder of Interfaith Grand River, and as past president, he continues to be an important mentor for the new leadership of Interfaith Grand River. His latest research and community work focuses on multi-faith collaboration in Waterloo Region, as well as interfaith activities and organizations in Canada and the United Kingdom. I offer a warm welcome to my friend, Brice Balmer.
It's good to be here. It's good to have a service like this today when we know the consequences of what happens in Pakistan are very earth-shaking and hopefully will be, as the song Jay sang. It was hard to go through that song because that's where my imagination is. I also want to thank you for Grand River Unitarian's contributions to Interfaith. When we began, Sandy Milne, who's here in the congregation, myself, and Treadwell, who was your pastor, and an interesting character, Judge Lorna Van Massel, if any of you know her, were the four people who brought the group together 2 days after 9/11, and we looked around and said, why are we here? What's going on? Who are we? How do we work together? Most of us had never been in that big of a group of people who were so diverse. And we've continued now. We celebrate 25 years this fall. As individuals and groups in interfaith dialogue, we witness to our own faith. We're not asking people to absorb a different faith. We want them to witness to their own faith. And we respect others and work together on those projects which we can agree upon, which bring for peace and justice and kindness in our world. Being a witness for truth and nonviolence has been an important aspect of my life and faith, and of my Mennonite community and others in this region. The Bible focuses in different places on being a witness to God's goodness and mercy, being a witness to how all people are created in the image of God, being a witness that all need to be recognized and loved and cared for. I was looking at a passage in Isaiah where God needed witnesses because they had populism or chaos in that time in Israel and also in Babylon, because people were disagreeing and many people had forgotten that there was a reason for being. There was a reason for the covenant. Other people were walking away from this covenant. They forgot the Ten Commandments. They forgot Exodus. They forgot all the things that had happened that were that made their lives helpful and appropriate. And so God asked for a witness. Will you be my witness? Perhaps it was a time like ours when individuals often were fearful of saying what they thought and fearful of talking to others about the values and the beliefs and the ideals that they have. They could not be a witness in the midst of turmoil and chaos. But we need to be witnesses, and we need to be respectful, but we need to declare ourselves. Today, this is my story that I tell you. As I and many of the people, in fact, there were a number of people from Waterloo region who participated in the Muslim-Mennonite dialogue. It's actually been far more than a dialogue. More about learning to know each other, our cultures, our beliefs, our faiths, and our values, in the midst of forces that wanted us to be angry with each other and walk against each other. As a Mennonite, I wondered how this could be my role in seeking justice and peace, building interfaith relationships, and being a witness in faith, and listening and understanding the Muslim faith, especially from the Shia tradition. In our Mennonite tradition, we need to stay strong in non-resistance or pacifism or non-violence in times of tension and violence. In going to jail during World War I, many from this community made their statement against war. For others, it was alternative service until 1976 in the United States, and a bit during World War II up here. Many of us have served in different places around the world with Mennonite Central Committee and other groups to assist in urban relief, development, justice, peace. Many of you know those stories. And many of us worked hard to learn to know people who were unacceptable to others. We knew that all people were made in the image of God, and we had to live out that vision of being friends of all. Mennonite Central Committee responded to 2 earthquakes in Iran, northern Iran in the 1980s, which was after the Ayatollah Khomeini came to power. The Iranian government asked Mennonite Central Committee leadership if there could be more interaction and theological dialogue. Iran's culture and government was deeply connected to the Shia religious establishment. The culture and government followed the Islamic schedule and beliefs. There's questions about how much the Revolutionary Guard has continued to follow those beliefs, but among the people and among the Ayatollahs, it was very, very important to follow in the way of the Quran. Shia is a very academic-oriented group of people in Islam. Most imams have had 6 to 8 years of theological training before they are an imam. And there are 70 theological institutes, schools, and centers just in Qum, the place where I went. Many walk the streets in robes and turbans, black or white. And the tenor is very conservative, but it is also open and accepting, except one topic they didn't want me to talk about, people who were falsely imprisoned. They weren't ready for that. I did not understand the power of religious leaders until I was on the plane from Istanbul to Tehran. And the man sitting next to me talked to me in English during lunch. He said, "Where was I going?" And I said, "Qum." And he said, "Will you be safe?" I told him, I know a number of the professors and the imams and have been invited to come there. He gave me his business card, saying if I ran into problems, call him, and he would come and pick me up, take me overnight, and then take me to the airport so I could go back to Canada. I knew the people who had asked me to come, but I thought, I don't know the culture enough. Where am I actually going? Never did I imagine going to Iran and working with the imams who were then working toward their MA and PhD after their seminary. Imam Dr. Shamali has been working on dialogue between Christians and Muslims for many years and asked me to come several times. I'm a community ministry-oriented person. I'm in the practical side of psychology and theology. Not a theologian who enters into deep dialogue. But he persisted, and I decided to go, not knowing exactly what I would get into. What would I experience? Was this a peacemaking venture? Was I a witness to my faith, my interfaith experiences here in the Waterloo region, my Mennonite church? What was the impact of all this, and why was I going? It was good for me to see friends from the Mennonite-Muslim dialogue in Qum and to settle into an apartment. Then I was picked up and taken to the center and met my class. We learned to know each other rather gradually, and I worked hard to pronounce their family names because in Iran, so many people have the name of Ali, Muhammad, Hussein, and Mustafa that they use last names instead of first names. So last names are their identity. We began working on interfaith dialogue issues, very new to many of them since they had never had a significant conversation with a Christian, nor a Hindu, nor a Buddhist, nor a Sikh, nor a Unitarian, nor a neo-pagan. And so we were on different territory with them. We talked about toleration, understanding, respect, collaboration, and caring for one another in a way that we were loving of each other and of the community. We laid the groundwork for further conversations. When I explained the religious diversity in Waterloo region, they said, "Oh, that'll never happen in Qum. We'll never be that diverse. We are who we are." Then I talked to a staff member who was also an imam in working in administration. He said, "Brice, there are 22 different ethnic groups that live in Qum, and they're not all Muslim, mostly Muslim." So I thought, okay, the diversity is here, but it can't be seen. We talked about accepting and respecting others. And my sponsors, knowing that I was a Christian, made sure that I got to an Armenian Orthodox church, which was as new as the Muslims in many, many ways. They asked if I wanted to take part in communion. I heard, "No, Orthodox, you don't take part in communion unless you're part of the community." But they offered it, but I thought, I better be safe. As we talked, I learned about the Iraq-Iran war, where many had participated as soldiers. Some men got into the military early because they were so bound and determined to fight for their country and to defend Iran. They were proud of being Iranian and Persian. As I walked around Qum, I saw many graves of young men who were now in special graves, and they were martyrs. They had died in the war and were seen as very, very significant people. Then I thought of my next topic. What is peace from a Christian Mennonite perspective? Can we talk about peace? What will they say when I identify as a pacifist? Can we all learn how we approach and discuss difficult subjects? And after we've had a good discussion, can we still honor one another and be open? The topic emerged out of another class discussion. There was an awkward silence when they learned that I was a pacifist. And the usual questions emerged. What if somebody attacked your mother? What if somebody broke into your house? What if your wife was in danger? What if the person had a gun? How could you handle people attacking you? I talked about the dignity of all humans. In Islam, killing one person is killing all of humanity. But there's some sidelines to that. This was a belief that we all had in common, that killing somebody was like killing all we all have in common. How does one talk with the other, I asked. What is the concern of the other who seems to be your enemy? How do we keep everyone safe by killing one another? Scriptures from the New Testament were the basis of my convictions. Muslims and Christians both have Jesus as a prophet. And they talked about their understanding of the Quran, which allows for defense, but does not allow for aggression and offense. Being offensive, in terms of being an offender, is violence. And how important that is to understand and in their eyes. After much agreement, we agreed that none of us should be the aggressor or the person initiating conflict, especially military action. The Iraq-Iran war was a defensive action on their part because of Iraq and the United States. They were defending their country and their people, and it was a very difficult time for them that lasted 8 years. As in respectful interfaith dialogue, we understood each other's positions. We did not agree, and yet there were portions where we did agree. And we had a respectful relationship with one another. Further conversation was then more open as we explored other topics where Muslims have different perspectives than Christians. And we could state our positions without expecting others to agree or to be converted. I have a sense of brotherhood with these men and with other professors I met as I was asked to go to other religious institutions around Qum to talk about peace and interfaith as we currently work with it. Many of the professors have been trained in England and the United States and Canada. They understood Christianity but had little interfaith experience outside of the two religions, Islam and Christianity, and what happened at the universities where they attended. And they were most curious as to what we were doing. As I met the five Ayatollahs, interfaith was very interesting to them, and they were interested in a more humane world. That was part of their agenda, not just in Iran, but they were the one person who was the Ayatollah for Qum was trying to get theological schools to find ways of the students going to theological centers around the world, not just Muslim centers. Many of the students went out to other countries to serve as an interim imam. I met one of them in Winnipeg when I was at a Mennonite event, or to study further, or to be a part of community service and education groups. Since returning to Canada, I have been very aware of how the media and government distort the role of religion in Iran. The Revolutionary Guard has leaders who've become wealthy, they have suppressed the Iranians, and they are responsible for military equipment going to Gaza and to Lebanon and Yemen and other places in the Middle East. Finances, though, have become a very, very difficult problem for many Iranians as their currency value has declined and the services have been, are not as profound because so much of the money is going into the military. As I was leaving, I wanted to exchange money in Qatar. They would not accept Iranian currency even back 10 years ago because of the low value. The recent revolt of the people was because the currency lost most of its value. One professor I met spoke to me privately when we were out further away from the city. It was a place where nobody could hear what we were saying. This, Brice, is not what we expected. We trusted Ayatollah Khomeini to bring a better government for all people. And in some ways, it has happened. There are universities and colleges and schools, and there's a very prosperous look to Iran. And the literacy has gone from 50% to 95% among the Iranian people. Iranians are coming to Canada. There has been large groups up at the University of Waterloo in engineering. They've gone to the US, they've gone to the UK. and they've gone to other countries for graduate education. It's a better place, except for, he said, except for the Revolutionary Guard and the Bahaji, which is a more young adult group of men. When I hear the word theocracy, I understand what the Iranians had hoped for. But is a country a theocracy when the Revolutionary Guard is a controlling force? Recent reports indicate that the Guard pushed the Council of 88 to appoint Khamenei's son, as Grand Ayatollah. He was not Khamenei himself was not an Ayatollah before he somehow was selected to be the Grand Ayatollah, and the same thing happened with his son. His son was participating with Revolutionary Guard and they, as an imam, and then they pushed him and now call him a Grand Ayatollah. Imams and scholars and Ayatollahs that I met were very respectful and working toward relationships with other people throughout the world. Collaboration and peacemaking. I want to witness to you that Iranians struggle with the Revolutionary Guard, but they also struggle so much with the Western powers because of all the money that's been extracted from the West that should have gone to their own services and their own country, but went to the United States and the UK and France. And so they get taught in quandary. Do we want a change? Yes. Do we want to cooperate with the United States? No. What do we do? What do you do when the people around you are poor because of what the government has done? And what do you do when the United States, Trump himself, broke the nuclear treaty, sent in a bombing mission while negotiations were in place, and cannot be trusted to keep peace negotiations continuing? So when we sang the song, Jay, I thought, could the peace take place? I have been a witness to you as I struggled with the media releases and the political actions that have taken place with Iran. I'm thankful that Canada has not joined the US in this war. I'm thankful that 40 other countries are working together to negotiate an opening of the Strait of Hormuz through peaceful and diplomatic means. My faith and my community, along with the friends from Islam in Iran, led me to be a part of the Mennonite Muslim journey. My work continues as I work with Muslims, with Interfaith Grand River, and with others in our region. Hopefully, our witness will join with the anti-hate campaign, where the saying is, we all belong here. We can create a safe community for all. We can work to create a safe world by meeting and understanding and respecting and having compassion for all people. It's possible and it is good. And we can let our witness be known that we want to know about the people. We want to know more of the environment. And perhaps we can make diplomatic relationships with people like those in Iran, rather than immediately castigating them and pushing them into a war with the US and others. It is possible we can have a better world, and I hope it's so.